Go. Call this meeting to order. Is there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, adoption of agenda, moved by Councillor Kenny, seconded by Councillor go ahead, Councillor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to remove an item from tonight's agenda, please.
Yeah.
Bylaw 62, 2021, being a bylaw to execute a consortium agreement and legacy lease agreement for Canada Summer Games Park.
You need a seconder. So through the mayor to members of council, if this is an amendment to the motion to amend the agenda, we would need a seconder for that.
Councillor DeRose.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Can I state my reason, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Yeah, because this was added to our agenda sometime yesterday. I didn't see it until last night. And, you know, we have a procedural bylaw regarding disclosing things to the public. I had a number of calls today regarding this. People who found out late in the day and couldn't register to be delegates. So I think being something this important, we should at least give the public the normal Thursday notice so they could register to be delegates. So I just want to make sure we're being open and transparent, and that's why I'd like to poll it, please, till next meeting.
All those in favor? Opposed? It's lost.
Mr. Mayor, can I get a recorded vote? Sorry.
It's lost. Okay, well, we can
Can I
have
get a recorded vote, please?
Yeah.
A recorded vote was requested by Councillor Longo in regards to an amendment to remove Bylaw 62, 2020-21. Councillor Longo?
Yes, remove.
Councillor DeRose?
You're muted.
Yes, remove.
Councillor Hanley?
Remove.
Councillor Sentence?
No, keep.
Councillor Decker is absent.
She's coming, but she said she'd be a little late.
Okay. Councillor Neal?
No, keep the bylaw in.
Councillor Kenny?
I can't hear you, Councillor Kenny.
No.
Councillor Wilson is
She's running late.
not here at the moment. And Mayor Ugolini? Opposed keeps it. In favor removes it.
No, in favor keeps it.
In favor removes it.
Oh, right.
Sorry, in favor.
In favor removes it, and no, I'm
it,
no.
sorry.
I'm no
Okay.
as well. Okay, so that's defeated. Councillor Longo?
What was the record? What were the vote tallies?
Vote was 4-3.
4-3.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
Mr. Mayor, could you count that again, please?
Did Councillor Neal not say no?
Councillor Neal, Councillor Sentence, Councillor Kenny, and I all said no. You three said yes. It's 4-3. Defeated. Okay? Okay. So, continuing. Adoption of agenda, moved by Councillor Kenny, seconded by Councillor DeRose, that council adopt the agenda for the meeting May 18th, 2021, as amended. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Adoption of the minutes. Council meeting minutes, May 4th, 2021. 5A, moved by Councillor Wilson. Councillor Wilson's not here yet, so I'll take Councillor Sentence. Seconded by Councillor Neal. That the council meeting minutes of May 4th, 2021 be hereby adopted. Any errors or omissions? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Mayor's report. On Tuesday, May 11th, I attended the virtual One Thorold meeting. They are hosting their annual Thorold community-wide food drive on Sunday, June 6th in support of community care. Please check the One Thorold or City Facebook page for event details and ways to volunteer or contribute to this very important food drive. Later that same day, CAO Manoj Dalwaria, Economic Development Manager Marco Marino, and I attended a virtual One Thorold Housing Committee meeting. Bill Vanderklip, committee chair, hosted the meeting. We discussed possible opportunities and ways the city may be able to assist. Councillor Neal is also a committee member on the subcommittee housing. Our age-friendly committee is creating 2022 and 2023 wall calendars as giveaways with the theme Thorold, an active, age-friendly community for all ages. The committee is looking for people to submit photos to showcase active living in the city of Thorold. For the project to proceed, the committee is looking for additional sponsors for the calendar at a sponsorship fee of $400. For further information regarding photograph submissions and sponsorship benefits, please access the Age-Friendly Committees page on the City of Thorold website or contact the Clerk's Department and your inquiry will be forwarded to the committee for response. The committee is doing great work and working on many initiatives, all benefiting our community under the leadership of Chair Jean D'Amelio Swire. On Thursday, May 13th, our CAO Manoj Dalwaria, Economic Development Manager Marco Marino, and I met virtually with Book Depot representatives, Wilf Winkerink, CEO, Bill Vanderleet, President, and Kevin Hoveld, Vice President of Operations, to congratulate them on being chosen as one of Canada's 2021 Best Managed Companies. Wilf stated, "We are honored to receive the prestigious Canada's Best Managed Companies Award during a year that is truly like any other. We are proud to join a select group of Canadian companies who have inspired us with their leadership in areas of innovation, strategy, and culture." We virtually presented them with a framed certificate of recognition on behalf of City Council and our community. On Friday, May 14th, Niagara's 12 mayors released a statement calling on the province for a clearly defined reopening plan. This statement has been distributed to council, staff, local media, and is posted on our City of Thorold Facebook page. On Friday, May 14th, Dr. Hergy provided his public health COVID-19 status update. This Zoom meeting takes place every 2 weeks, with the next one scheduled for Friday, May 28th at 2 p.m. These meetings are live streamed on the Niagara Region website. This past week, May 10th to the 16th, was National Nursing Week, and we would like to extend our gratitude to all nurses and their families for their contributions to the nursing profession and going above and beyond during these unprecedented times. National Public Works Week runs May 16th to 22nd. It is a time to celebrate and thank our dedicated public works employees. This year's theme is Stronger Together. The various divisions within Public Works and Community Services continue to work safely during a very challenging time to ensure essential services are delivered to our residents. Once again, on behalf of City Council, we thank you. Effective this morning at 8 a.m., individuals 18 years of age and over are eligible to book a COVID-19 vaccine. That being said, please understand that vaccine rollout information, including added clinic dates, are continually changing and being updated as vaccine supply availability becomes known. This information is available on the Niagara Region website under COVID-19 vaccine clinics. All necessary links are there, including the provincial booking link. We will be posting information and updates as well on the city website and Facebook page. And just a word of note regarding that, they were so overwhelmed with requests today because that's a large group when you open it up to the 18 years of age and over. And obviously there's not enough vaccine that is here yet to fill all the people that wanted to book an appointment. But they are going to, as the vaccine amount is known in the region, they will add dates. And so you got to continually follow that, because they know that they're going to be getting more vaccine. Once they know the supply, they'll add more booking dates on the booking portal. As stated many times, as vaccine rollout continues at the mass vaccination clinics, designated pharmacies, and healthcare providers, we will get to a better place, but we must stay the course. Following the public health safety measures is imperative. Please follow these measures, continue to support one another, our frontline workers, those less fortunate or living alone, and more than ever, our local businesses, who are the backbone of our community. And that's the end of my mayor's report. Public meetings. Do I have a sheet for the public meeting? Just 1 sec, can I get the package? We'll start the public meeting. Unless it's in this pen. Okay, while I wait for that package, we'll do the motions for council support. So the first one up is City of Thorold 11A, moved by Councillor Sentence and seconded by Councillor Neal. And I'll turn this over to Councillor Sentence. Go ahead, Councillor Sentence.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a couple comments after I read this, if I could. Two, please. Whereas a number of provinces have declared emergencies on various circumstances over time, and Canada is allowed to declare national emergencies under the Emergencies Act 1985. And whereas approximately 1 in 5 Canadians will experience a mental health problem or illness, and whereas the economic burden of mental illness in Canada is estimated at $51 billion per year, including healthcare costs, lost productivity, and reductions in health-related quality of life, the CAMH. And whereas not addressing mental health issues, illnesses, is costly in the long term to Canada's economy, and whereas a recent Morneau Shepherd poll showed that 50% of Canadians reported that their mental health has worsened with COVID-19 pandemic, with mental health related hospitalizations, crisis line use, and addiction rates skyrocketing, and whereas locally, 11 of the 12 Niagara area municipalities already supported the request for the Niagara Region Council to declare a state of emergency on mental health, homelessness, and addiction. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the City of Thorold call upon the House of Commons to launch a federal study in the Standing Committee on Health, HESA, on the merits of declaring a national emergency on mental health, and that the City of Thorold endorse petition E3351, calling upon the House of Commons to launch a federal study into the Standing Committee on Health, HESA, on the merits of declaring a national emergency on mental health, and that all municipalities within the Niagara region, all Niagara MPs, area MPs and MPPs, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Prime Minister of Canada, the Federal Minister of Health, and all members of the Federal HESA Standing Committee on Health be copied on this motion.
And you wanted to speak to it, Councillor?
Yeah, if I could. Well,
yes, go
first
right.
of all, I would like to thank the author of this petition, Stephen Seuss, for all his hard work that he does on the mental health topic. Councillor Neal for seconding this, and I'd like to thank Councillor Decker. She helps a lot in behind the scenes on these things as well. So I just think I believe it's time for us to put some real teeth to this issue and some dollars and make sure we're taking care of everyone's mental health, especially our youth. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak to that? Go ahead, Councillor Hanley.
Definitely, as Councilor says, echoing his, Stephen, Zeus, I met Stephen and was more than happy to support his motion that he brought before council, as did all municipalities. I do believe then that it went to the region, and it's a shame that some don't recognize it and don't believe that it's occurring, just as our current situations with the virus. But mental health is on the increase, suicides are on the increase, 800% amongst adults. I think they say youth between the ages of like 11 and 15 or 16 is up by 200%. It's obviously the COVID addiction and the overdoses resulting in people basically being handling money that they never had before, and has resulted in an increase of that. Also, homelessness, as Stephen mentioned, I think 144 children alone were homeless just since COVID occurred, and because of rental eviction. So I support it definitely in that stuff. It's great to go forward, and we do need to see action, but we're only the stepping stone. We need the big players, you might say, to be the ones that actually step up to the plate and initiate and see it follow through. So I support it wholeheartedly.
Thank you, Councillor Hanley. Go ahead, Councillor Decker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Sentence, for bringing that forward. I fully support that motion, and it's something that we can't put on the back burner. There's too many people that are falling between the cracks, and we need to do something to show our support and to make sure that we're helping those that really need it. So I just want to say thank you, and that I fully.
Anyone else? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We'll do the next one, and then we'll move on back to the public meeting. City of Thorold, I have a move by Councillor Kenny and seconded by Councillor Sentence, but before that, we have to waive the procedure under section 11.2 of the procedure bylaw to allow for a notice of motion to request support for Ontario Tennis Association's safe return to tennis blueprint and request and consider additional youth activities, as this is time sensitive. So we're voting to waive the procedure bylaw. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, Councillor Kenny, moved by Councillor Kenny, seconded by Councillor Sentence. Go ahead, Councillor Kenny.
Okay, this is a blueprint from some of the other cities within the region that have already passed it. Whereas the provincial COVID restrictions under lockdown and red restrict have caused numerous sports and recreational activities to be canceled or restricted. And whereas the organizations, including municipalities, have discovered that the province's vague color-coded guidelines have resulted in inconsistent interpretation, and whereas the organizations have continued with programming while following capacity restrictions, the result of some municipalities' interpretations of the guidelines sometimes led to hardships for players, clubs, and their employees, and will continue to do so should the rules not be revised. And whereas various youth activities, including tennis and golf, are sports that by its nature, a socially distant sport, can be played outside on city courts, and whereas understanding that the reopening of tennis facilities are subject to when the provincial mandated closures are lifted, and whereas the reopening of tennis, golf, and other outdoor municipal facilities is subject to lifting of the provincial mandated closures, and whereas the City of Thorold would like to include local youth activities, tennis and golf, to be reconsidered by the provincial mandated closures. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Thorold endorse Ontario Tennis Association Safe Return to Tennis Blueprint to facilitate reopening of tennis facilities, golf facilities, and outdoor facilities
and that the notice of council's decision be sent to Ontario Tennis, Niagara municipalities, and other members of provincial parliament. I was wondering if I could speak on it.
Go ahead, Councillor.
I'm bringing this forward, and I know our regional council and some of our MPs have already spoken in favor of this and sent letters to our premier. But I would like us to pass this so that our council can go on record as being in favor of opening things up, outdoor activities in a total safe manner, especially for kids, minor sports. I mean, it speaks of golf and tennis, but my biggest thing is minor sports for kids, for baseball, soccer, outdoor activities in parks, playing catch. These kids need it, and I think we have to help them in this manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor DeRose, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Kenny. I was going to ask for a friendly amendment to add soccer, baseball, and any other summer sport that we can attach to it, just to broaden it a bit. Thank you.
I think it's covered under youth activities, though, Councillor DeRose.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Councillor Hanley.
I support it. You know, I just wish that it's expanded even further to include the small businesses of our municipality for outdoor patios. See, we're looking at outdoor because if you have golf, obviously by allowing golf, they're going to allow to be able to serve alcohol and serve food as they were. And so as our small businesses are trying to survive, it should encompass, you know, let's get everybody back in a safe manner, not just sports. The kids are suffering. I see it myself with my grandchildren, but businesses are suffering too. So I support Councillor Mondo. We need a motion that encompasses everything. We need to get everybody back on and outdoors type of deals. You know, even like I say, our patios, they're restricted too. So how long it's going to go for outdoor festivals, outdoor markets? Let's support all businesses, not just the sports. I'm for getting everybody back to normal again, or to some type of outdoor activity. But I will support his motion.
Thank you.
But I wish to see it would expand further. It supports small business also.
Thank you, Councillor Hanley. Councillor Longo, do you have your hand up? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Through you to Councillor Kenny. I just want to understand the motion here, because it talks about youth quite a bit in here. Youth sports, youth golf, youth tennis. Is this only for youth, your motion, or is this for the general public, for reopening of outdoor sports?
For the general public, but I think our youth, we have to put our youth first.
Right, and I agree, but we're not limiting to
No.
any age bracket, are we?
No.
No, because I think if you read the motion, and it does say that also include local youth. So it talks about adults first, and then am I correct when I say that, Councillor Kenny?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for clarifying. I just wanted to make sure my young neighbors aren't allowed to golf and I'm not.
Councillor Sentence, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll support this as well. I agree with what the other councillors said fully as well. But this goes part and parcel with what I just read. This is mental health for everybody. So I'm all for this motion as well. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to go back to public meeting now. Public meeting, proposed draft plan of subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment applications. Artisan Ridge Phase 3A, D1202-2021, D14-04-2021. Opening remarks and purpose of meeting. This meeting is being held pursuant to the provisions of Section 34 and 51 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, CP 13 as amended. The applicant has submitted a draft plan of subdivision application to facilitate the subdivision of the subject lands for single detached dwelling lots, an extension of Palace Street, and the expansion of an existing park block. The applicant has also submitted an application to amend zoning bylaw 2140-97 and zoning bylaw 60-2019 by rezoning the subject lands to an open space zone and a site-specific residential zone to facilitate their development. Council will receive and consider all comments received at the public meeting. No decision on these applications are being made this evening. Any of the following, no later than 20 days after giving notice, may appeal the decision by filing with the city the notice of appeal that must set out the reasons for the appeal accompanied by the tribunal's fee. The applicant, a person or public body who before the amendment and bylaw were passed, made oral submissions at the public meeting or written submissions to council, and the minister. Up first, presentation from city staff. Paul Klazen, Senior Planner. Paul, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Just trying to go full screen. There we go. So good evening, members of council, members of the public. I'll be presenting two applications received by the Planning Division, and the applications are for draft plan of subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment for the lands known as Artisan Ridge Phase 3A. So the images on your screen give you a better idea of where these lands are located. So they're located in this northwest corner of Beaver Dams Road and Baker Street, which is a newer street from an earlier phase of this subdivision. Phase 1 has been constructed already to the east of the subject lands, and Phase 2 is currently in the final approval process. So the applications we have now are for Phase 3A. So I just want to be clear that this yellow highlighted parcel the applications don't apply to the entire parcel. Only the eastern portion is being developed through applied for through these applications, as you can see on the draft plan on the right of your screen. The western portion is proposed for future development, and additional applications will need to come in for that. So I'll just go through some details of the applications. The draft plan of subdivision proposes to divide the subject lands into 29 residential lots for single detached dwellings. An additional block will be created and combined with lands located in Phase 2 of Artisan Ridge, and that will result in 7 additional future single detached dwelling lots. All of the proposed lots will front onto an extended Palace Street, which will come through this subdivision. And there's also a park block existing in a previous phase that'll be extended through these applications. The zoning bylaw amendment application is the second application, and it proposes to rezone the lands to accommodate the proposed residential units and open space extension of the park. And both bylaws, bylaw 2140-97 and bylaw 60-2019 require amendments because zoning bylaw 2140-97 is still in effect for residential zones. There's site-specific regulations proposed for the new lots, and the proposed changes are for reduced exterior side yard setbacks to 3 meters, removal of maximum garage width regulations, and changes to garage setback regulations from front dwelling walls. And there's also the addition of encroachment allowances for porches proposed. The site-specific regulations required to facilitate the development will vary under the two bylaws. So we've received comments from city departments and agencies. The list shown on your right can be supplemented by some regional comments that we've also received. We haven't received any comments yet from the public. So this is just my contact information. Anyone who's listening or looks this up in the agenda, feel free to contact me for additional details on the applications. There's also a link there that you can access that takes you to our website where all of the submission materials are publicly available and all the details on the applications are present there. So that's my presentation. I'm free to take any questions.
Thank you, Paul. Are there any questions for Paul? Go ahead, Councillor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to Mr. Clausen. Is there a delegate who's going to speak on this tonight? Is there a proponent who owns the land, or is just the city just speaks on this?
No, there's a presentation from the applicant's agent.
Okay, so, okay, I will wait to ask him a question then. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, then I'll move now to the presentation from the applicant's agent, Stephen Bedford, Landex Developments Limited. Stephen, are you there? Stephen?
Yes,
Okay, are you there? There you are. Go ahead.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. And is someone there? Can someone operate the slide deck that I submitted, please?
Do you have the slide deck that you can run?
I do. If I can chase it down here. Just hang on.
Yeah.
Sorry about this. So I have so can you,
He's me. Stephen.
so can you, sorry, I'm unmuted now? How do I share my screen on here? There we are.
Go ahead, Matt.
Stephen, there should be a share screen button at the bottom of the Zoom window. It's a green button.
I found it.
So you click
yeah.
that and then you pick screen one or your presentation.
So sorry about this, but I have. So there we go.
There we go.
Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay, so let me get rid of some of this crap. Anyway, you can see the, so thank you, Mr. Mayor and council and staff that's available. I thank you, Paul, for your presentation. My name is Stephen Bedford. I'm the planner on the file, and we've been, those of you who have been with us for the last 15 years, you're fully aware of the history of this file. You can see here Artisan Ridge developments. Phase 1, when you visit the site now, is totally developed. You can see the homes that have been built, and the proposals that we're presenting this evening for the single detached dwellings are the same single detached zoning requirements that are in phase 1. Phase 2 to the north has been draft approved, and we're working with the town and the region to complete the conditions. We expect houses to be built there late this year or early next year. All of the lots have been sold to individuals. We are now here to speak to you about the small portion 3A, and 3B. We'll be back to you in the future to finish the subdivision. So you can see the history of this site. Those of you that have history in Thorold, these lands were heavy industrial for many, many years, and our owners, Downey Street, purchased these in 2005, 2006, and we've been working in conjunction with the city ever since to develop these properties. We've removed and rehabilitated some 400,000 tons of material. The railway that cut through this property has been decommissioned, and it too is being remediated. Approximately 32 acres have been remediated, and a record of site condition is available for all the lands that are being developed, and we're working feverishly to complete the remediation on the lands to the west. So all of the homes that are proposed in the subdivision are single detached dwellings, approximately 36 units, that in combination with the lots you see here and attaching to property that is existing in phase 2, we'll be creating the total 39 lots. And the homes that you will see will be the homes that are very similar to those that are presently exist in phase 1 and have been constructed. And you can see the expansion of the park that is being proposed, and the other green portion down on Beaver Dams Road is the stormwater management pond serving all of the development. This portion of the subdivision, as with the other portions of the other parts of the subdivision, phases 1 and 2, clearly meet the policies of the provincial policy statement, the growth plan, the regional official plan, and the city of Thorold official plan. And we very much would appreciate council's support when you get the staff report of our proposed subdivision. I'm happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you, Stephen, and I'll open the floor up for questions. I know Councilor Longo, you had a question before. Go ahead.
Thank you. Through you to Mr. Bedford. Mr. Bedford, is your company aware of bylaws in Thorold regarding lot coverage and setbacks?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. And you plan on conforming to our existing bylaws for this development?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for Stephen? Okay, thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Public participation, public input. Now at this time, is there anyone online who wishes to speak on the applications received? Please indicate to the clerk your desire to speak. Please provide your name and address for the public record. Do we have anyone that's going to speak on this? Is anyone? No? I'll read it one more time. Now at this time, is there anyone online who wishes to speak on the applications received? Please indicate to the clerk your desire to speak. Please provide your name and address for the public record. And Matt, you say there's nobody? Okay. Closing remarks and closing of the meeting. This fulfills the requirements of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 CP 13, pursuant to sections 34 and 51. Council will consider staff's recommendation report at a future meeting date. Please provide your contact information and indicate to the clerk at clerk@thorold.ca if you wish to receive notice of council's decision. Alternatively, a letter requesting to receive notice of council's decision may be sent to the clerk. As such, the public meeting portion of this application is now closed. Okay, we'll move on to motion to receive and file minutes or adopt recommendations of council committees and boards. 12A, minutes to review for information purposes, moved by Councillor Decker, seconded by Councillor Longo. That council receive and file the minutes of the committees, councils, local boards as presented. Is there any errors or omissions that anyone wants to speak to? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. There's no endorsements, right? None? Okay, statement by councilors. Up first, I have Councillor Hanley on the street sweeping. Go ahead, Councillor Hanley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just through you to know, just if I could ask, if I need to put a motion forward or a report to come forward, or maybe what we can do is just through social media, some people have been questioning or asking if we could somehow as a city or municipality put out a scheduling date so that people are aware when the street sweeper is going to be coming through the area, respective areas. You know, something almost something like snow removal and that stuff, that, you know, people are wanting their streets to be clean and vehicles are there and we need to go around them, and if there is some type of way, either through a billing system or a notification through our water bills, tax bills of area neighborhoods. I know it's a tough pea to crack open, you know, because of the areas and how to get the information out, but just that there's something to be done to pre-warn residents that the street sweeper is coming.
I'll turn that over to our director.
I know it's not easy.
No, but we might be able to do something. Let's listen to our Director of Public Works and Community Services. Jeff, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes, indeed, we need to do a better job of notifying the community about the schedule and where we are, not just through our website, but also through other social media ports. So I had a look at it today and agree that the levels of service aren't specifically spelled out, and if we can provide more information, that might reduce the number of concerns and complaints that councilors are receiving. So we'll look after that right away.
Thanks, Jeff. How about like we could post it on our social media pages? Say like we're in this area, you know, this week we're doing this area. Would that be? Does that answer your question, Councillor Hanley?
Yeah, it's something like that. So we can release it out there. You know, there's many Thorold Historic, Thorold Now, many pages out there that are going to people's general and aspirations is to inform the community of events that's happening. So if we can get it out there somehow so that it can spread through social media, because what's been going on for the last, you know, we're going into the second year now. Only other way to really communicate what's going on is through social media, because we can't be going around door to door or influencing through public events. So it's great, whatever initiatives we've taken, we greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Hanley. Councillor DeRose, you're up with, what was that to do with?
Statements by councilors, Mr. Mayor.
No, I know, but I don't know what were you speaking on? I was just gonna, go ahead.
On statements by councilors.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I know Joanne had wrote back about protocol 10.3, 10.4, and 10.5. That's not what I wanted clarification. I kind of needed more clarification, and I have a concern. Just bylaw principles 1.2b, and it states no item shall be placed on the agenda with respect to a matter which is not in the jurisdiction of council. The mayor and/or chair, in consultation with the clerk, will determine if the matter is within the jurisdiction of council. So I just wanted to ask a question. It's possibly to the clerk or the mayor. Who makes the final decisions as to what gets brought forward and when we ask for a statement by councilor?
Who makes that decision?
Yes, who makes the final decision of what gets registered or not?
The clerk's department.
Okay, is anybody on council privy to any of the information, including the mayor? Or?
We get the same memo that gets sent out to all of council.
So, Mr. Mayor, so you don't have a say in what gets stated or registered?
There is, no. Do you want to, I'll let the clerk answer that. So.
Through the mayor to members of council to Councilor DeRose. So in consultation with the member who submits a request, we do review it, I review it, and I send a response back, just the same as I did to you, Councilor DeRose, asking for further clarification. If no further clarification is provided and it's something that's ambiguous and doesn't actually fit under section 10.3, 10.4, or 10.5, and it is before a council meeting, then it is removed before the email goes out.
Okay. So you're saying you make the decision, the clerk makes the decision, is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay, now, so, and also I want to ask, going forward, are we going to start receiving a copy of the submitted statements followed by the actual statements that are registered or accepted as we did today? Because I've never seen that before.
That goes out before every meeting.
So I actually like that I was privy to what statements get rejected or aren't considered to be acceptable. So is that going to be something new we're going to be receiving?
Yeah, through the mayor to members of council to Councilor DeRose, yes, that is my intent moving forward. That way all members of council are aware, and if something is rejected, the purpose of it.
Good, thank you. I'd like to see that. Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, thank you. I'll let Mr. Hanley have a word. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Hanley.
Thank you. Yes, on that note, what Joanne was saying, like when a councillor submits a request that it's reviewed and then she responds with an answer as to whether or not it can be stated as a statement of councillors. And Councillor Joe's made a very perfect point, because case in point, I had sent a request to the city in regard to speaking tonight, not only about street cleaning, but also about current lockdowns, extensions, regulations, responsibilities, and what shall be expected of members of council and the public. I received a return email from her stating, "Thank you, Councillor Hanley. I will place these two items under the respective agenda category for tomorrow night." But then unexpectedly, at 4:30 in the afternoon, with now reasons presented to me, that it was now rejected. So I echo what Councillor DeRose is saying. You know, she's just, you know, not to put anybody in the spot, but I just heard the clerk say that she goes through the request and then she determines whether or not it would be accepted and then gives the answer to the respective councillor. She gave me an answer that I would be able to speak on the matter, and then that changed at 4:30 in the afternoon on Monday. And my concern is that the following prior meeting on May the 4th, what I wanted us to talk about was exactly what was talked about that evening, about how the conduct is expected of a member of a council. We talked about the current regulations and the extensions, and in regards to our procedural bylaws and what is expected. And I asked to talk about the same thing. It was first accepted, but then denied 8 hours later. So I do echo Councillor Carmen DeRose's concerns, and case in point, I just proved it right there. So You know, what I wanted to talk about was talked about on May 4th meeting, so that makes me concerned that then if it wasn't allowed by me, then there was contravention of our procedural bylaws at the prior meeting, and no one, put or said that it should be,
Anyways, Councillor
stopped,
Hanley,
and that
the
should be a
reply
point
was
of
given
order
to
by
all of
That's
council,
my
not
point.
just
Thank
to you. And if you have any issues with it, you can deal with the city clerk, okay? Thank you.
I
That's,
was just stating that. I was-
that's it for statement by councillors. Consent reports. We have 15A, B, C, D, and E. I have a mover, Councillor Hanley, and a seconder, Councillor Decker, that council approve the following consent reports. Does anybody want to pull a consent report? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. Now we're gonna move into discussion reports.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councillor Deal.
I noticed that there's no notice of motions on the agenda tonight. I didn't realize there wasn't.
No, there
And I
is.
do have a notice of motion when the proper time comes up.
No, there is. It's after discussion reports, Councillor Neal.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Discussion reports, PWCS 2021-28. I have a mover, Councillor Neal, and a seconder, Councillor Kenny, and I'll turn this over to our Director of Public Works and Community Services, Jeff Holman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recommendation is one, that the contract for the construction of the Battle of Beaver Dams Park Revitalization Project be awarded to Green Space Construction, Inc. in the amount of $1,680,356 plus HST. And two, that Shift Landscape Architecture be engaged to provide contract administration services at an upset limit of $50,565 plus HST. And three, that staff be authorized to spend up to the approved budget to include additional features identified in this report. And four, that staff be directed to investigate grant and sponsorship opportunities for the various components of the project. And five, that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the necessary agreements. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for our Director of Public Works and Community Services? Go ahead, Councillor Hanley.
I think the report's actually, very good. And Jeff, if I read this right, are we going to upsell the park and we're gonna add some amenities so we can use up that $2 million? Is that the objective here with adding the, other components at the end? With some leeway, with a little bit of revenue left over in case we go a little over budget?
Yeah, that's correct, Councillor Handley, through the mayor. So the idea here is we have a number of features that we might be able to obtain sponsorship money for, which might allow us then to add additional landscape features within the original scope of the project. So we don't expect to be back to you to ask for additional funds unless we get close to that $2 million budget approved number that we have originally.
So, okay, so thank you very much. So we're gonna go out and above what we had done previously soliciting, so we're gonna try some more grant funds here so we can do the accessible swing and the indigenous community recognition and so on and so forth, but we do have the funding still within the 2 million.
That's the intention, through Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much, Jeff. Great report.
anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, to Mr. Holman. Great report. Thank you very much. I'm just wondering, is there a rendering of this project anywhere? Is it posted on the city website if people wanted to see what it will look like?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yeah, I think we could put up some more information just to give curious people some background on what was approved. That would maybe be helpful for people to help them understand what's happening there. we can make that arrangement. I don't believe it's up there now. I know the tender was on, but I don't know that it included any of the drawings that would be helpful to the community.
Yeah, I think that would help. I've had a few people ask me what it would look like, what we're getting. So if it's possible, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. PWCS 2021-41, I have a mover, Councillor Longo, and a seconder, Councillor DeRose, that we request to paint a memorial mural on Peter Street Bridge barrier wall be approved subject to the conditions outlined. Oh, I'll let Director of, I'll let you read it, Jeff. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's fine. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The recommendation is that the request to paint a memorial mural on the Peter Street Bridge barrier wall be approved subject to the conditions outlined in the report. And second, that the proponents be required to obtain a roadway and lands occupancy permit in accordance with policy 640-07. Thanks.
Okay, is there any speakers to this? Councillor Sentence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Jeff. What I saw, I liked. It didn't seem to be a distraction. It looked nice. I was just wondering if they would be interested in putting it a little further along that wall to make the kind of the whole wall. I couldn't quite see the picture, make the whole wall that mural. I thought it looked good in my opinion. It didn't look distracting for anybody coming up or driving. So I was just wondering if it'd go a little further, if they'd be interested in doing that. Thank you.
Jeff, did you want to answer that or?
Yeah, well, Mr. Mayor, I believe we have the requester, Ms. Colleen Doppelhofer. She should be available online. Maybe she could answer that question.
Is Matt, is she there? Okay. Matt says she's not here at this time, right now, Jeff.
Okay, well, that's certainly something we can ask. I know that it was their specific request to focus just on the one abutment and the one barrier wall. But we could look for opportunities to expand it if it makes sense.
I know it's a memorial, and I feel for them, and I want to get them to do that. But it just looked very nice. I was wondering if they would be interested in going further with it to even further honor their son. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Kenny, go ahead. Who?
Yes, I'll support this too. I also would like to say that some of the parameters that Jeff has put in place here, like the 10-year anniversary stuff and things like that, I think we should take a good look at that, because there are some memorial things around our city from different people. And I think this, when we do put some parameters on this stuff going up, I'm not against it, but they just have to be maintained. And the parameters here, I think, were well put, and it might be a template down the road to use in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Hanley. Go ahead.
No, as Councillor Kenny said, I echo the same thing. Just case in point, that's a great point that you made. And with Jeff's report and that stuff, now, as he said, we have a template to go into the future, because it is a beautiful mural and that stuff there, no doubt about it. You know, and there's many places in the city that people maybe want to be doing the same type of initiative and give them, like Councillor Kenny says, the parameters so that they maintain it. And there's some responsibility put behind it, makes it even that much stronger, and it's really appreciated. It looks great. The mural looks great. Support it 100%.
Okay. Is there anyone else? Okay, so Colleen is on the line. Did you want to ask that question? Is she there?
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hi.
Is that Colleen?
Yes, it is. Oh, here I am.
Okay, yeah, there was a question asked by Counselor Sentence. Go ahead, Counselor Sentence, and ask Colleen the question that you had.
Yeah, hi, Colleen.
Hi.
I just love the mural. I love the way it looked. I'm fully supportive of it. I was just wondering, and that's entirely up to you, if it could go further along the wall there to be the whole thing. I just thought it looked that good, but I didn't want to tread on your memorial, but I was
No,
wondering if you'd be
it's
interested.
not that. I would love to. It's the cost. It's
Okay.
it's costing us $3,000 just for that space. So the artist, that's what she quoted me on, and actually she gave me a little bit of a break. I would love to do the whole wall. I think it would look better.
Okay, thank you.
I've just, yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much.
I don't know,
Colleen.
maybe down the road we can do something, but I understand.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, go ahead, Counselor DeRose.
Hi, Colleen. Yeah, I'm in support of this too, and I'm happy Ken brought that up. It does look great. I'm just out of curiosity, are you able to get a price for the whole wall just going forward to see if it can be done eventually?
I can, yes, I'll ask her. Like I said, we just covered the part that was damaged by the accident. And because I knew it was, and when she told me that price, I just figured it'd be a lot more, but I can ask her.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, and maybe
sure.
something locally can be done, but thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Counselor Hanley, go ahead.
On that note, for maybe doing the rest of is there anything that we may or have come back that could be in the Economic Development Fund or in our community grants that could help fund an extension of the mural along the bridge? Is there anything that we can use without spending, or breaking into the budget or whatever, but reserves that we have that may cover this?
I'll talk to our CAO, can answer that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to to Councillor Handley. We will certainly look into it. So if we can get what is the price, we can look at it and see if there is some room from our economic development budget that we can utilize to expand it. And then if that is the case, we'll bring a report to council. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And thank you, Colleen.
Thank you very much for having me.
Up next, PWCS 2021-42. I have a mover, Councillor Decker, and a seconder, Councillor Wilson. And again, I'll turn that over to Jeff Holman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recommendation is that, that the contract for the reconstruction of the Welland Canal Trail section near the twin flight locks be awarded to Rankin Construction, Inc. in accordance with the city's procurement policy for purchases by negotiation in the amount of $50,585 plus HST. And second, that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the necessary agreements.
Okay, is there any questions regarding that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. PDS 2021-19, I have a mover, Councillor Hanley, and a seconder, Councillor Sentence. And I'll turn, who's here from planning? Is Paul here? Brett? Okay, Brent, sorry. Go ahead, Brent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and members of council, this report is regarding an official plan amendment for 1071 Old Thorold Stone Road. The application is to amend the official plan to allow for future lot creation and to realign the environmental protection area 2 boundaries to be consistent with the delineation as set out in the environmental impact statement. Planning staff are recommending approval of the proposed official plan amendment.
And Brent O'Neill is our senior planner with the planning department. So are there any questions regarding this report? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. PDS 2021-22, moved by Councillor Kenny, seconded by Councillor Neal, and I'll turn this over to Denise Landry, Manager of Planning. Go ahead, Denise.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Council, this report is regarding Confederation Heights Subdivision Phase 8, and this is the zoning bylaw amendment request to increase lot coverage. They revised the request to 50% lot coverage increase and 5% for accessory buildings. Planning staff are recommending approval of this application, and this concludes the report.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Denise regarding this? I've got Councillor Sentence first. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Denise. Thank you for the report. I like to see that they're working with us on things like this, so that I have this right, or maybe I don't have it right. So everything they did was in order to allow for covered porches, decks, covered decks, and anything off the house structure-wise. Is that correct?
Through the mayor to Councillor Sentence, the 5% increase, that would address the covered porches and the covered decks. Okay. And then we say sheds that a future owner wants to put up. So what they did is that they went back and took a look to see what the maximum coverage of just the home would be. And they determined that 50% just for the internal lots was what they would at a maximum need. And that for the additional kind of covered porches and decks, that could be addressed through just the 5% increase. And then so that part is limited to just the 5% for those elements.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Go ahead, Councillor Longo.
Can I just get some clarification on that comment? So the buildings are actually 5% bigger than our bylaw allows, correct?
Through the mayor to Councillor Longo. Yes, the buildings excluding, say, a covered deck. Normally the covered deck would generally be included in the overall total lot coverage, but the way that we've written it is that the main dwelling would max out at 50% and 5% the covered decks, and then the shed if the future owners wanted to put up.
Correct. So the main building is 5% larger than it should be.
Through the mayor to Councillor Longo, yes, they have asked for a 5% increase for the dwelling.
Okay. I didn't support the zoning reapplication when this came up. I thought we're increasing the density by too much, and I won't support increasing the size of a higher density neighborhood, the size of the structures in a higher density neighborhood. It's just creating too many issues. I live very close to this. I hear it all the time. So I can't support this. I think we need to work within the bylaws we have. And that's my feeling on it. So I won't support this.
Councillor Hanley, did you have your hand up? Go ahead.
Yes, but I'm just echoing Councillor Longo's concerns also on that stuff with the neighbor and what's happening. You know, let's live within our bylaws. Developer was asked earlier today, or a proponent of a developer was asked earlier tonight, do you realize what our setback rules are, so on and so forth, what the city's policies are? And I agree the same. They continuously come to council for bigger and better. Let's stick within what we got. Let's try to put a handle on the situation that we are creating as councillors by continuously allowing these amendments and these extensions to lot sizes and or building sizes in general. And let's stick to the rule of thumb, what we've developed. That's why we had comprehensive zoning bylaws, official plans, and let's stick to what we got and say, no, this is what we have. You know the rules, play within the rules, and we'll be good. That's why I'd like to see it too, myself personally. We set out policies and procedures, bylaws, recommendations, what have you, so forth, and we continue to spend an enormous amount of time at council bending those rules and adjust them to fit every developer that's ever come to the city of Thorold's needs and wants, and not looking out to me, as I think are the needs and wants of our constituents, which is more important to me. Let's stick to what we have in general right now.
Councillor Kenny.
Yeah, I would like to ask a question. Agreeing with what Councillor Hanley has just said to our planner, why, if it's not within our bylaws, are you supporting this in layman's terms?
Through the mayor to the councillor, We've assessed the application and I don't see any impact on the community. It's for lack of a better word, a minor ask. And I don't have any concerns. It's similar to adjacent areas. It's just the internal lots that they're asking for, not the end units, where the end units have the additional strip of land between the end of the building and the end of the property. So therefore coverage is easier to address. So the homes, the internal homes are going to be the exact same as the homes on the end. So I don't have any concerns with the application. A 50% lot coverage is common across the city.
Well, okay, having heard that, I'm not going to support this either for the simple point that, you know what, when we give these developers 5%, next time they're coming back and they're asking for 6%. I think we should send a message to the developers, work within our bylaws, and we will support you 100%. So I will not support this either. Thank you.
Councillor Sentence.
I did misunderstand, and thank you, Councillor Longo, for asking that again. I was under the understanding, my fault, that it was just for the covered porches and stuff, so I will not support this as well and try and keep them within our bylaws. Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's defeated. Okay. That's it. Notice of motion, Councillor Neal, you wanted to speak on that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I have a notice of motion, and the notice of motion will read for the next meeting. The Lake Gibson Corridor Committee recommends that the city's planning department prepare maps identifying the physical features, heritage aspects, and cultural aspects of the Lake Gibson corridor, and having the corridor named as a conservation area. So I'll be bringing that forward for the next meeting.
And you'll work with the clerk on that?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Moving forward now, we have bylaws. And I'm going to do the bylaws other than 2, and then we'll do the other 2 when we come out of closed session. So first reading of the bylaws, moved by Councillor Decker, seconded by Councillor Kenny, that leave be given to introduce the following bylaws. Bylaw 56, 59, 60, 61, 63, and 64, 2021. And that now the same now be read a first time. Go ahead, Councillor Kenny, did you have a question? Councillor Kenny, you had your hand up.
Yeah, bylaw 63. Is that not the one we just?
That's a good point.
I'm sorry, 64. 64 is the one we just
64 got to be
again.
pulled? Or 60?
So we don't move that one forward.
No,
correct?
you're right. Good point, Councillor. What one is it? There's 2 with phase 8.
64, I think.
To the mayor, there's also 63 and 64 were for the.
Okay, so 64,
So they would
and
be
63 and 64 are removed. Okay, good catch. You've got that? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, can you just read which ones we're voting on right now again, please?
Yes, I will. Okay, so it's bylaw 56, 2021, 59, 2021, 60, 2021, 61, 2021. And that's it, okay? And now be read a first time. All those in favor? What's up, Councillor Duro? You had your hand up. Are you voting on it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I just had to ask a question about 61. I just wondered why we couldn't add city streets also. Talks about fouling of highways. Could we not encompass that to be more comprehensive, or is that just a separate issue?
Yeah. City clerk, is that? That's the bylaw from the resolution that we passed, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, Counselor?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so those are the ones. Did everybody got those? 56, 59, 60, and 61? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Final reading of those four bylaws, moved by Counselor Decker, seconded by Counselor Kenny, that the bylaws just read a first time be read a second and third time and do pass, and that the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same. Any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay. Closed meeting. I got a mover, Counselor DeRose, seconder, Counselor Longo, that council resolve into a closed meeting session at 7:45 p.m. for the purpose of dealing with matters pertaining to legal counsel, Sullivan Mahoney verbal report. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, so now we're gonna, they have to log in under the, you have to log in now under the closed session.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
are we not supposed to say what the item is we're talking about to be open?
it says, well, I'm just reading what's in my agenda here. It says the legal counsel Sullivan Mahoney verbal reports. Do you wanna?
But we need to say
It's
what
a
the item
Canada,
is.
it's a Canada Games update, okay?
Thank you. Okay,
It's a Canada Game agreements update, okay?
thank you.
Okay, all those, we voted, all those in favor? Do it again.
We've been sent new feed.
Now we're gone, now we're going,
The new,
now we're gonna go into a different, you have to log out and go in under closed session.